Hi team. This video will be covering a 10A topic looking at half planes. So this is combining a lot of the skills that we've covered in this topic, including um, graphing equations, solving inequalities, and lastly, solving simultaneous equations. So our learning intention is to understand how to create and interpret half planes on a Cartesian plane. By the end of this video, you should be able to define the term half plane, create a half plane given a linear inequality, and then combine half planes to find areas that satisfy multiple inequalities, which is where you'll be using simultaneous equations, which we've looked at in class. So essentially, this is what a half plane looks like. You have a graphed line, in this case y is equal to or less than half x plus 1, and the shaded area is the area that satisfies this inequality. So we can actually check to see if this has been done correctly by picking any point in here and seeing if it does in fact work. So the point 0, 0 should satisfy the equation y is equal to or less than half x plus 1. So if we substitute in, it should work. So 0 should be equal to or less than half, that's our x coordinate, our y coordinate, half times 0 plus 1. 0 equal to less than half times 0 is 0, equal to less than 1, so tick, that works. If we picked another point here, let's say that is outside the zone, let's say for example if we went x is equal to 0, y is equal to 2, so that would be roughly up here, this should not work if we do the substitution. So then 2 equals to less than half times by 0 plus 1, 2 equal to less than half times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. So 2 is equal to or less than 1 does not work, which is why this region has not been shaded. So if the region is shaded, it should satisfy the linear inequality. So let's look at how we can do that. So first off, in your books, you write down half planes. They're just graphical representations of a linear inequality that involve two variables, such as y equals to less than half x plus 1. So the highlighted area indicates all values that satisfy that inequality. Right. So if we want to create our own half plane given an equation, the first step we need to do is to graph the equation. So remember, when we're graphing the equation with inequalities, we don't actually need to worry about this sign here. We can just graph the inequality as if it was a standard equation. So to graph things that aren't in standard form, you could rearrange that find standard form. I would do the x-intercept and y-intercept because that'll give us all the important information that we need to find anywhere. So x-intercept when y equals 0, so 0 plus 2x equal to less than 4, x is equal to or less than 2 if you divide both sides by 2, which means the x coordinate, or x equals 2, if we're just graphing it. I might actually make those equal signs just to simplify this part of it. So x is equal to 2. Just pick that point there, 2. And then similarly, y-intercept when x equals 0 is y plus 2 times by 0 is equal to 4. Once again, the sign doesn't matter at this stage, we're just finding the x and y-intercepts. So y must be equal to 4. So if we graph that there, 4, and then we can connect the dots, make sure you're using a ruler obviously for this, doing an arrow either way, and labeling it as y plus 2x equal to or less than 4. So step 1 is find x and y intercepts. Step 2 is graph the line. Now we'll notice that this one is an equal to or less than, so we have a solid line here. If it's an equal to or less than, that would be a solid line. If it's just less than or greater than, it would actually be a dotted line to indicate that the line is not including our inequality. Now, we've done the first step in terms of graphing the inequality. The next step is identifying which side of this plane, so which half we colour in. To To do this, we can just pick the easiest point we can and see if it works or does not work. So we'll pick a point to the left here. So we'll pick point 0, 0. So sub in 0, 0 to see if it satisfies the inequality. So if we substitute that in to y plus 2x is equal to less than 4, we'd have 0 plus 2 times 0 is equal to the less than 4. So 0 is equal to or less than 4. That is correct. Therefore, this side of the half plane would be our shaded region. So you hold that in here. If you picked a point to the other side, that would not work. So step 3 is check a point to identify the half plane. Okay. So if you go through those for any half plane question, you'll be able to graph that. So the last skill we need to look at, which is a bit more involved in kind of combining all our skills from this topic, is finding the intersection region for inequalities. So we have 4x plus y is equal to or less than 12, and 3x minus 2y is less than minus 2. So you could go about graphing these first and then finding the point of intersection, or what I will do is find the point of intersection first, so we're going to draw both lines and then figure out, using similar process here, which region satisfies both this inequality, the first one, and the second inequality. So step 1 is to find the point of intersection. Now, once again, this doesn't need to have inequalities in there, so it's a lot easier if we just take them as equal signs now to find that point of intersection for these two equations. So we have 4x plus y equals 12 as our first equation, 3x minus 2y equals negative 2 as our second equation here. So if we were going to graph that, if we're going to find that point of intersection, we need to either do substitution or elimination. So I'm going to make y the subject here. So y equals 12 minus 4x, subtracting 4x from both sides, and sub that into 2. So when I see y, I'm going to replace it with 12 minus 4x. So minus 2x, so 12 minus 4x equals negative 2. Expand that out. 3x minus 24. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8 equals negative 2. Give myself a bit more space here. And collect like terms there. 11x minus 24 equals negative 2. Add the 24 to negative 2, which would be 22, and x would be equal to 2. So when x equals 2, substitute back into the first equation here. So sub into 1 to find our y value. So y would be equal to 12 minus 4 times by 2. Y would be equal to 12 minus 8, which is 4. So they intersect at 2.24. I'm going to draw our Cartesian plane just up here. So when you're doing graphing questions, it's really important to demonstrate as you're going the steps that you've completed. So we know that it intersects at 0.24. So let's plot that point. We can pick where that would be. I'm going to identify it as about here. So 0.24 there. All right, so that's step 1. We've got our point of intersection. Step 2 now is just graph each equation. So we have two equations here. We have 4x plus y equal to less than 12. Once again, we'll just treat it as an equation rather than an inequality here to find the x and y intercepts. So x-intercept, y equals 0. So we have 4x equals 12, x equals 3, and then the y-intercept x equals 0. So we have y is equal to 12. So if the y-intercept at 12, so it'd be quite high up here, so I might actually redraw that. Important to give yourself a bit of space here. So that was 4, 8 would be here, 12 would probably be around about here. So we have y-intercept there, and we have the x-intercept at 3. So quite a steep line. So we'll draw through there. And make sure we always label our intercepts. So looking back up here, we can see that once again that's an equal to or less than sign, so we draw the solid line there. So that's 4x plus y equal to or less than 12. Always label them there. And then the other equation we're looking at is 3x minus 2y is less than negative 2. 3x minus 2y is less than, sorry, not equal to or less than, just less than negative 2. Just going to double check that's accurate. Yeah. Great, so same process, and you can have a crack at this, pause the video and have a go at this. X-intercept when y equals 0, so 3x is equal to negative 2. X is equal to negative 2/3. Y-intercept x equals 0. Negative 2y equals negative 2. Y is equal to negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. So we have negative 2/3. We have y equal to 1 here. So I'll actually bring that in a bit to be accurate. Once again, using graph paper is quite helpful here. So if we were to draw through our lines roughly, I'm going to redraw that because since it's only a less than sign, not an equal to, it needs to be a dotted line there to indicate that this is not included in our inequality here. So it's a dotted line going through these 2 points which I have labelled there. So 3x minus 2y is less than negative 2. So the last step is to check the half plane for each of these inequalities. So it's quite a long process, but if you go step by step, you should be fine. Check the half plane. So for 4x plus y is equal to or less than 12, we could check the point 0, 0 once again. So notice I always pick quite an easy substitution to make it as easy for myself as possible. So we have 4x plus y equal to or less than 12. Substituting point 0, 0. We have 0 equal to or less than 12. That is accurate. So if we're drawing our linear inequality, so if we're drawing a half plane, 0, 0 is part of that, would satisfy. So we draw, just partially draw it there. Using different colors can be helpful here. We know that this can be helpful here. So the next one would be checking 3x minus 2y less than negative 2. Once again, substituting in point 0, 0 to see if it works. We have 0 is less than negative 2. So we can see that 0, 0 does not fit the equation. So so we can see 0, 0 would not fit the equation because 0 is actually greater than negative 2, which means that for the second equation, this region here meets the equation. So you can see the only section that meets both the first equation and the second equation is this section in here. So it's to the left of 3x minus 2y is less than negative 2, and it's above 4x plus y is less than 12. So when you're colouring in the regions, if you colour it in twice, that means it satisfies both equations. Okay, so with this process, you want to first find our point of intersection, so we can identify where they meet. The next step is to graph each equation by finding the x and y intercepts. And the last part is to check the half plane. So check which regions meet each inequality, and the region that meets both inequalities there would be our final solution, which you'd color in here. I would suggest using a different pen, using clear lines. It's a bit tough with the online technology here. Okay, so please make sure you rewatch areas of this video to help you with your questions. Quite a long one, so obviously skip through and rewatch areas where you need a bit more support. Good luck, guys.